हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द लाइव सेशन। तो आज हम पढ़ेंगे एनसीईआरटी ज्योग्राफी क्लास 11 का चैप्टर 3 ड्रेनेज सिस्टम। तो शुरू करते हैं। यू हैव ऑब्जर्व वाटर फ्लोइंग थ्रू द रिवर्स, नालास एंड इवन चैनल्स ड्यूरिंग रेनी सीजन which drain the excess water. Had these channels not been there, large-scale flooding would have occurred. Wherever channels are ill-defined or choked, flooding is a common phenomenon. The flow of water through well-defined channels is known as drainage, and the network of such channels is called a drainage system. The drainage pattern of an area is the outcome of the geological time period, nature and structure of rocks, topography, slope, amount of water flowing, and the periodicity of the flow. Do you have a river near your village or city? Have you ever been there for boating or bathing? Is it perennial, always with water, or ephemeral, water during rainy season and dry otherwise? Do you know that rivers flow in the same direction? You have studied about slopes in other two textbooks of geography. In this class, can you then explain the reason for water flowing from one direction to the other? Why do the rivers originate from the Himalayas in the northern India and the Western Ghat in the southern India, flow towards the east and discharge their waters in the Bay of Bengal? Important drainage patterns. The drainage pattern resembling the branches of a tree is known as dendritic, the example of which are the rivers of the northern plain. When the rivers originate from a hill and flow in all directions, the drainage pattern is known as radial. The rivers originating from the Amarkantak range present a good example of it. When the primary tributaries of river flow parallel to each other and secondary tributaries join them at right angles, the pattern is known as trellis. When the river discharges their water from all directions in a lake or depression, the pattern is known as centripetal. Find out some of the patterns in the topo sheet given in chapter 5 of practical work in geography part 1 NCERT 2006. A river drains the water collected from a specific area which is called its catchment area. An area drained by a river and its tributary is called a drainage basin. The boundary line separating one drainage basin from the other is known as the watershed. The catchments of large rivers are called river basins, while those of small rivulets and rills are often referred to as watersheds. There is, however, a slight difference between a river basin and a watershed. Watersheds are small in area while basins cover larger areas. तो ये है इंडिया का मैप और इसमें दिखाया गया है मेजर रिवर्स ऑफ इंडिया. River basins and watersheds are marked by unity. What happens in one part of the basins or watershed directly affects the other parts and the unit as a whole. That is why they are accepted as the most appropriate micro, meso, or macro planning regions. On the basis of discharge of water, orientations to the sea, it may be grouped into the Arabian Sea drainage and the Bay of Bengal drainage. They are separated from each other through the Delhi Ridge, the Aravallis and the Sahyadris. Water divide is shown by a line. Nearly 77% of the drainage area consisting of the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, the Mahanadi, the Krishna, etc. is oriented towards Bay of Bengal, while 23% comprising the Indus, the Narmada, the Tapi, the Mahi and the Peria system discharge their water in the Arabian Sea. On the basis of the size of the watershed, the drainage basins of India are grouped into three categories. Major river basins with more than 20,000 square kilometers of catchment area. It includes 14 drainage basins such as the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, the Krishna, the Tapi, the Narmada, the Mahi, the Pennar, the Sabarmati, the Barak, etc. Medium river basins with catchment area between 2,000 to 20,000 square kilometers, incorporating 44 river basins such as the Kalindi, the Periyar, the Meghna, etc. Minor river basins with catchment areas of less than 2000 square kilometer include fairly good number of rivers flowing into the area of low rainfall. If you look at the figure, you can see that many rivers have their sources in the Himalayas and discharge their waters either in the Bay of Bengal or in the Arabian Sea. Identify these rivers of North India. Large rivers flowing on the peninsular plateau have their origin in the Western Ghats and discharge their waters in the Bay of Bengal. Identify these rivers of the South India. The Narmada and the Tapi are two large rivers which are exceptions. They, along with many small rivers, discharge their water in the Arabian Sea. Name these rivers of the western coastal region from the Konkan to the Malabar coast. On the basis of the mode of origin, nature, and characteristic, the Indian drainage may also be classified into the Himalayan drainage and the peninsular drainage. Although it has the problem of including the Chambal, the Betwa, the Son, etc., which are much older in age and origin than other rivers that have their origin in the Himalayas. It is the most accepted basis of classification, hence this scheme has been followed in this book. Drainage systems of India. Indian drainage system consists of a large number of small and big rivers. It is the outcome of evolutionary process of the three major physiographic units and the nature and characteristic of precipitation. The Himalayan drainage. The Himalayan drainage system has evolved through a long geological history. It mainly includes the Ganga, the Indus, and the Brahmaputra river basins. Since these are fed both by melting of snow and precipitation, rivers of this system are perennial. These rivers pass through the giant gorges carved out by the erosional activity carried on simultaneously with the upliftment of the Himalayas. Beside deep gorges, these rivers also form V-shaped valleys, rapids, and waterfalls in their mountainous course. While entering the plains, they form depositional features like flat valley, oxbow lakes, flood plains, braided channels, and deltas near the river mouth. In the Himalayan reaches, the course of these rivers is highly tortuous, but over the plains they display a strong meandering tendency and shift their courses frequently. River Kosi, also known as the Sorrow of Bihar, has been notorious for frequently changing its course. The Kosi brings huge quantity of sediments from its upper reaches and deposits it in the plains. The course gets blocked and consequently the river changes its course. Why does the Kosi river bring such huge quantity of sediments from the upper reaches? Do you think that the discharge of water in the rivers in general and the Kosi in particular remains the same, or does it fluctuate? When does the river course receive the maximum quantity of water? What are the positive and negative effects of flooding? Evolution of the Himalayan drainage. There are differences of opinion about the evolution of the Himalayan rivers. However, geologists believe that a mighty river called Sibalik or Indo-Brahma traversed the entire longitudinal extent of the Himalaya from Assam to Punjab and onwards to Sindh and finally discharged into the Gulf of Sindh near Lower Punjab during the Miocene period some 5 to 24 million years ago. The remarkable continuity of the Sibalik and its lacustrine origin and alluvial deposits consisting of sands, silt, clay, boulders, and conglomerates support this viewpoint. It is opined that in due course of time, Indo-Brahma river was dismembered into three main drainage systems: the Indus and its five tributaries in the western part, the Ganga and its Himalayan tributaries in the central part, and the stretch of Brahmaputra in Assam and its Himalayan tributaries in the eastern part. The dismemberment was probably due to the Pleistocene upheaval in the western Himalayas, including the uplift of the peninsula of the Potwar Plateau or Delhi Ridge, which acted as water divide between the Indus and the Ganga drainage system. Likewise, the downthrusting of the Malda Gap area between the Rajmahal Hills and the Meghalaya Plateau during the mid-Pleistocene period diverted the Ganga and the Brahmaputra system to flow towards the Bay of Bengal. The river system of the Himalayan drainage. The Himalayan drainage consists of several river systems, but the following are the major river systems. The Indus system. It is one of the largest river basins of the world, covering an area of 11,65,000 square kilometers in India, and it is 321,289 square kilometers and a total length of 2,880 kilometers in India, 1,140 kilometers. The Indus, also known as the Sindhu, is the westernmost of the Himalayan rivers in India. It originates from a glacier near Bhokar-Chu, 31 degree 15 minute north latitude and 81 degree 40 minute east longitude, in the Tibetan region at an altitude of 4,164 meters in the Kailash mountain range. In Tibet, it is known as Singhi Khamban or lion's mouth. After flowing in the northwest direction between the Ladakh and Jaskar ranges, it passes through Ladakh and Baltistan. It cuts across the Ladakh range, forming a spectacular gorge near Gilgit in Jammu and Kashmir. It enters into Pakistan near Chillar in the Dadistan region. Find out the area known as Dadistan. The Indus receives a number of Himalayan tributaries such as Sayok, the Gilgit, the Jaskar, the Hunja, and the Nubra, the Sighar, the Gesting, and the Dras. It finally emerges out of the hills near Attock, where it receives the Kabul River on its right bank. The other important tributaries joining the right bank of the Indus are the Khuram, the Tochi, the Gomal, the Bibha, and the Sanghar. They all originate in Sulevan ranges. The river flows southward and receives Panjnath a little above Mithankot. The Panjnath is the name given to the five rivers of Punjab, namely the Satluj, the Bias, the Ravi, the Chenab, and the Jhelum. It finally discharges into the Arabian Sea east of Karachi. The Indus flows in India only through the Leh district in the Jammu and Kashmir. The Jhelum, an important tributary of the Indus, rises from a spring at Verinag, situated at the foot of the Pir Panjal in the southeastern part of the valley of Kashmir. It flows through Srinagar and the Vellore Lake before entering Pakistan through a deep, narrow gorge. It joins the Chenab near Jhang in Pakistan. The Chenab is the largest tributary of the Indus. It is formed by two streams, the Chandra and the Bhaga, which join at Tandi near Kelong in Himachal Pradesh. Hence, it is also known as Chandrabhaga. The river flows for 1,180 km before entering into Pakistan. The Ravi is another important tributary of the Indus. It rises west of the Rohtang Pass in the Kullu Hills of Himachal Pradesh and flows through the Chamba Valley of the state before entering Pakistan and joining the Chenab near Sarai Sidhu. It drains the area lying between the southeastern part of the Pir Panjal and the Dholadhar ranges. The Bias is another important tributary of the Indus, originating from the Bias Kund near the Rohtang Pass at an elevation of 4,000 meters above the mean sea level. The river flows through the Kullu Valley and forms gorges at Kati and Largi in the Dholadhar range. It enters the Punjab plains where it meets the Satluj near Harike. The Satluj originates in the Rakas Lake near Mansarovar at an altitude of 4,555 meters in Tibet, where it is known as Langchen Kambaf. It flows almost parallel to the Indus for about 400 kilometers before entering India and comes out of a gorge at Rupar. It passes through the Sipki La on the Himalayan ranges and enters the Punjab plains. It is an antecedent river. It is a very important tributary as it feeds the canal system of the Bhakra Nangal project. The Ganga system. The Ganga is the most important river of India, both from the point of the view of its basin and cultural significance. It rises in the Gangotri Glacier near Gomukh, 3,900 meters in the Uttarkasi district of Uttarakhand. Here it is known as the Bhagirathi. It cuts through the central and the lesser Himalayas in narrow gorges. At Devprayag, the Bhagirathi meets the Alaknanda. Hereafter it is known as the Ganga. The Alaknanda has its source in the Satopant glacier above Badrinath. The Alaknanda consists of the Dholi and the Vishnu Ganga, which meets at Josimath or Vishnu Prayag. The other tributaries of Alaknanda, such as the Pindar, joins it at Karnaprayag, while Mandakini or Kali Ganga meets it at Rudraprayag. The Ganga enters the plains at Haridwar. From here it flows first to the south, then to the southeast and east before splitting into two distributaries, namely the Bhagirathi and the Hooghly. The river has a length of 2,525 km. It is shared by Uttarakhand 110 km and Uttar Pradesh 1,450 km, Bihar 445 km and West Bengal 520 km. The Ganga basin covers about 8.6 lakh square kilometer area in India alone. The Ganga river system is the largest in India, having a number of perennial and non-perennial rivers originating in the Himalayas in the north and the peninsular in the south respectively. The Son is its major right bank tributary. The important left bank tributaries are the Ram Ganga, the Gomati, the Ghagra, the Gandak, the Kosi and the Mahananda. The river finally discharges itself into the Bay of Bengal near the Sagar Island. The Yamuna, the westernmost and the longest tributary of the Ganga, has its source in the Yamunotri Glacier on the western slope of Banderpunch Range. It joins the Ganga at Prayag, Allahabad. It is joined by the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and the Ken on its right bank, which originates from the peninsular plateau, while the Hindan, the Rind, the Sengar, the Varuna, etc. join it on its left bank. Much of its waters feeds the western and eastern Yamuna and the Agra canals for irrigation purposes. Name the states which are drained by the river Yamuna. The Chambal rises near Moho in the Malwa plateau of Madhya Pradesh and flows northwards through a gorge upwards of Kota. In Rajasthan, where the Gandhi Sagar Dam has been constructed. From Kota it traverses down to Bundi, Sabai, Madhopur and Dholpur and finally joins the Yamuna. The Chambal is famous for its badland topography called the Chambal Ravines. The Gandak comprises two streams, namely Kali Gandak and Trisul Ganga. It rises in the Nepal Himalayas between the Dholagiri and Mount Everest and drains the central part of the Nepal. It enters the Ganga plain in the Champaran district of Bihar and joins the Ganga at Sonpur near Patna. The Ghagra originates in the glaciers of Mapanchungo. After collecting the waters of its tributaries Tila, Seti and Beri, it comes out of the mountains, cutting a deep gorge at Sisapani. The river Sarda Kali or Kali Ganga joins it in the plain before it finally meets the Ganga at Chhapra. The Kosi is an antecedent river with its main source to the north of Mount Everest in Tibet, where its main stream Arun rises. After crossing the central Himalayas in Nepal, it is joined by the Sun Kosi from the west and the Tamur Kosi from the east. It forms Sapt Kosi after uniting with the river Arun. The Ram Ganga is comparatively a small river rising in the Gharwal hills near Garsan. It changes its course to the southwest direction after crossing the Sibalik and enters into the plains of Uttar Pradesh near Najibabad. Finally, it joins the Ganga near Kannauj. The Damodar occupies the eastern margins of the Chota Nagpur Plateau, where it flows through a rift valley and finally joins the Hooghly. The Barkar is its main tributary, once known as the Sorrow of Bengal. The Damodar has been now tamed by the Damodar Valley Corporation, a multi-purpose project. The Sarda or Sarayu River rises in the Milam Glacier in the Nepal Hills, where it is known as the Gori Ganga. Along the Indo-Nepal border, it is called Kali or Chok, where it joins the Ghagra. The Mahananda is another important tributary of the Ganga, rising in the Darjeeling Hills. It joins the Ganga as its last left bank tributary in West Bengal. The Son is a large south bank tributary of the Ganga, originating in the Amarkantak Plateau. After forming a series of waterfalls at the edge of the plateau, it reaches Arhaha west of Patna to join the Ganga. The Brahmaputra system. The Brahmaputra, one of the largest rivers of the world, has its origin in the Chemayong Glacier of the Kailash Range near the Mansarovar Lake. From here, it traverses eastward longitudinally for a distance of nearly 1,200 km in a dry and flat region of southern Tibet, where it is known as the Sangpo, which means the purifier. The Rango Sangpo is the major right-bank tributary of this river in Tibet. It emerges as a turbulent and dynamic river after carving out a deep gorge in the central Himalayas near Namcha Barban. The river emerges from the foothills under the name of Siang or Dihang. It enters India west of Sadia town in Arunachal Pradesh. Flowing southwest, it receives its main left bank tributaries, viz. Dibang or Sikang and Lohit. Thereafter, it is known as the Brahmaputra. The Brahmaputra receives numerous tributaries in its 750 km long journey through the Assam Valley. Its major left bank tributaries are the Burhi, Dihing, and Dhansari south, whereas the important right bank tributaries are the Subansiri, Kameng, Manas, and Sankos. The Subansiri, which has its origin in Tibet, is an antecedent river. The Brahmaputra enters into Bangladesh near Dhubri and flows southward. In Bangladesh, the Tista joins it on its right bank, from where the river is known as the Yamuna. It finally merges with the river Padma, which falls in the Bay of Bengal. The Brahmaputra is well known for floods, channel shifting, and bank erosion. This is due to the fact that most of its tributaries are large and bring large quantities of sediment owing to heavy rainfall in its catchment areas. The peninsular drainage system. The peninsular drainage system is older than the Himalayan one. This is evident from broad, large-graded shallow valleys and maturity of the rivers. The western Ghats running close to the western coast act as the water divide between the major peninsular rivers, discharging their water in the Bay of Bengal, and as some small rivulets joining the Arabian Sea. Most of the major peninsular rivers except Narmada and Tapi flow from west to east. The Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa, the Ken, the Son, originating in the northern part of the peninsula, belong to the Ganga river system. The other major river system of the peninsular drainage are the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri. Peninsular rivers are characterized by fixed course, absence of meanders, and non-perennial flow of water. The Narmada and the Tapi, which flow through the Rift Valley, are, however, exceptions. The evolution of peninsular drainage system. Three major geological events in the distant past have shaped the present drainage system of peninsular India. Subsidence of the western flank of peninsula leading to its submergence below the sea during early tertiary period. Generally, it has distributed the symmetrical plane of the river on either side of original watershed. Upheaval of the Himalayas when the northern flank of the peninsular block was subjected to subsidence and the consequent trough faulting. The Narmada and the Tapi flow in trough faults and fill the original cracks with their detritus materials. Hence, there is a lack of alluvial and deltic deposits in these rivers. Slight tilting of the peninsular block from northwest to the southeastern direction gave orientation to the entire drainage system towards the Bay of Bengal during the same period. River system of the peninsular drainage. There are a large number of river systems in the peninsular drainage. A brief account of the major peninsular river system is given below. The Mahanadi rises near Sihaba in Raipur district of Chhattisgarh and runs through Odisha to discharge its water into the Bay of Bengal. It is 851 km long and its catchment area spreads over 1.42 lakh square kilometer. Some navigation is carried on its lower course of this river. 53% of the drainage basin of this river lies in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, while 47% lies in Odisha. The Godavari is the largest peninsular river system. It is also called the Dakshin Ganga. It rises in the Nasik district of Maharashtra and discharges its water into the Bay of Bengal. Its tributaries run through the states of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. It is 1465 km long with a catchment area spreading over 3.13 lakh square kilometer. 49% of this lies in Maharashtra, 20% in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and the rest in Andhra Pradesh. The Penganga, the Indravati, the Pranhita, and the Manjara are its principal tributaries. The Godavari is subjected to heavy flows in its lower reaches to the south of Polvaram, where it forms a picturesque gorge. It is navigable only in the deltic stretch. The river after Rajamundry splits into several branches, forming a large delta. The Krishna is the second largest east-flowing peninsular river which rises near Mahabaleshwar in Sahyadri. Its total length is 1401 km. The Koyna, the Tungabhadra and the Bhima are its major tributaries. Of the total catchment area of the Krishna, 27% lies in Maharashtra, 44% in Karnataka and 29% in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The Kaveri rises in the Brahmagiri Hills, 1341 meters of Kogadu district in Karnataka. Its length is 800 km and it drains an area of 81,115 square km. Since the upper catchment area receives rainfall during the southwest monsoon season summer and the lower part during the northeast monsoon season or winter, the river carries water throughout the year with comparatively less fluctuation than the other peninsular rivers. About 3% of the Kaveri basin falls in Kerala, 41% in Karnataka and 56% in Tamil Nadu. Its important tributaries are the Kabini, the Bhavani and the Amravati. The Narmada originates on the western flank of the Amarkantak plateau at a height of about 1057 meters, flowing in a rift valley between the Satpura in the south and the Vindhyan range. In the north, it forms a picturesque gorge in marble rocks and Dhuandhar waterfall near Jabalpur. After flowing a distance of about 1312 km, it meets the Arabian Sea south of Bharuch, forming a broad 27 km long estuary. Its catchment area is about 98,796 square kilometer. The Sardar Sarovar project has been constructed on this river. The Tapi is the other important westward flowing river. It originates from Multai in Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. It is 724 km long and drains an area of 65,145 square km. Nearly 79% of its basin lies in Maharashtra, 15% in Madhya Pradesh, and the remaining 6% in Gujarat. Luni is the largest river system of Rajasthan, west of Aravalli. It originates near Pushkar in two branches, that means the Saraswati and the Sabarmati, which join with each other at Gobindghar. From here, the river comes out of Aravalli and is known as Luni. It flows towards the west till Telwara and then takes a southwest direction to join the run of Kutch. The entire river system is ephemeral. Smaller rivers flowing towards the west. The rivers flowing towards the Arabian Sea have short courses. Why do they have short courses? Find out the smaller rivers of Gujarat. The Setrunji is one such river which rises near Dalkhava in Amreli district. The Bhadra originates near Aniali village in Rajkot district. The Dhadar rises in near Khantar village in Panchmahal district. Sabarmati and Mahi are the two famous rivers of Gujarat. Find out the places of confluence of these rivers. Find out some important west flowing rivers of Maharashtra. The Vaitarini rises from the Trimbak Hills in Nasik district at an elevation of 670 meters. The Kali Nandi rises from Belgaum district and falls in the Karbar Way. The source of Betty River lies in Hubli Dharwar and traverses a course of 161 km. The Saravati is another important river in Karnataka flowing towards the west. The Saravati originates in Shimoga district of Karnataka and drains a catchment area of 2,209 square km. Find out the name of the river on which Garsopa Jog Fall is found. Goa has two important rivers which can be mentioned here. One is Mandovi and the other is Juari. You can locate them on the map. Kerala has a narrow coastline. The longest river of Kerala, Bharatapuzha, rises near Annamalai Hills. It is also known as Punnai. It drains an area of 5,397 square km. Compare its catchment area with that of Saravati River of Karnataka. The Periyar is the second largest river of Kerala. Its catchment area is 5,243 square km. You can see that there is a marginal difference in the catchment area of the Bharatapuzha and the Periyar rivers. Another river of Kerala worth mentioning is the Pamba river, which falls in the Pemobanath lake after traversing a course of 177 km. Small rivers flowing towards the east. There are large numbers of rivers flowing towards the east along with their tributaries. Can you name some of these rivers? There are small rivers which join the Bay of Bengal through small. Though small, these are important in their own right. The Subarnarekha, the Baitarini, the Brahmani, the Vamsadhara, the Pennar, the Palar, and the Vaigai are important rivers. Find out these rivers from the atlas. तो इस टेबल में हम देख सकते हैं कंपैरिजन बिटवीन द हिमालयन एंड द पेनिनसुलर रिवर. एक्सपर्ट हिमालयन रिवर और पेनिनसुलर रिवर. प्लेस ऑफ ओरिजिन Himalayan mountain covered with glacier, peninsular plateau and central highland. Nature of flow perennial, receive water from glacier and rainfall. Seasonal, dependent on monsoon rainfall. Type of drainage, antecedent and consequent leading to dendritic pattern in plains. Superimposed, rejuvenated, resulting in trellis, radial and rectangular patterns. Nature of river, long course flowing through the rugged mountains, experiencing headward erosion and river capturing in plains, meandering and shifting of course. Smaller fixed course with well adjusted valleys. Catchment areas, very large basins, relatively smaller basin. Age of the river, young and youthful, active and deepening in the valleys. old rivers with graded profile and have almost reached their base levels. River regimes. Do you know that the quantity of water flowing in a river channel is not the same throughout the year? It varies from season to season. In which season do you accept the maximum flow in Ganga and Kaveri? The pattern of flow of water in a river channel over a year is known as its regime. The North Indian rivers originating from the Himalayas are perennial as they are fed by glaciers through snow melt and also receive rainfall water during rainy season. The rivers of South India do not originate from glaciers and their flow pattern witnesses fluctuation. The flow increases considerably during monsoon rains. Thus, the regime of the rivers of South India is controlled by rainfall, which also varies from one part of the peninsular plateau to the other. The discharge is the volume of water flowing in a river measured over time. It is measured either in cusecs, cubic feet per second, or cumecs, cubic meters per second. The Ganga has its minimum flow during the January-June period. The maximum flow is attained either in August or in September. After September, there is a steady fall in the flow. The river thus has a monsoon regime during the rainy season. There are striking differences in the river regimes in the eastern and the western parts of the Ganga basin. The Ganga maintains a sizable flow in the early part of summer due to snow melt before the monsoon rain begins. The mean maximum discharge of the Ganga at Faraka is about 55,000 cusecs, while the minimum is only 1,300 cusecs. What factors are responsible for such a large difference? The two peninsular rivers display interesting differences in their regimes compared to the Himalayan rivers. The Narmada has a very low volume of discharge from January to July, but it suddenly rises in the August when the maximum flow is attained. The fall in October is as spectacular as the rise in August. The flow of water in the Narmada as recorded at Garudeshwar shows that the maximum flow is of the order of 2,300 cusecs while the minimum flow is only 15 cusecs. The Godavari has the minimum discharge in May and the maximum in July-August. After August, there is a sharp fall in water flow, although the volume of flow in October and November is higher than that in any of the months of January to May. The mean maximum discharge of Godavari at Polvaram is 3,200 cusecs, while the mean minimum flow is only 50 cusecs. These figures give an idea of the regime of the river. Extent of utility of river water. The rivers of India carry huge volumes of water per year, but it is unevenly distributed both in time and space. There are perennial rivers carrying water throughout the year, while non-perennial rivers have very little water during the dry season. During the rainy season, much of the water is wasted in floods and flows down to the sea. Similarly, when there is a flood in one part of the country, the other area suffers from drought. Why does this happen? Is it the problem of availability of water resource or that of its management? Can you suggest some measures to mitigate the problem of flood and drought simultaneously occurring in different parts of the country? Can these problems be solved or minimized by transferring the surplus water from one basin to the water deficit basin? Do we have some schemes of inter-basin linkage? Have you read in the newspaper about the linking of rivers? Do you think that digging a canal is enough to transfer water from the Ganga basin to the peninsular river? What is the major problem? Consult chapter 2 of this book and find out the difficulties posed by the unevenness of the terrain. How can the water be lifted from the plain area of the plateau area? Is there sufficient surplus water in the North Indian rivers which can be transferred on a regular basis? Organize a debate on the whole issue and prepare a write-up. How do you rank the following problems in using river water? No availability in sufficient quantity, river water pollution, load of silt in river water, uneven seasonal flow of water, river water disputes between states, shrinking of channels due to extension of settlement towards the Thalweg. Why are the rivers polluted? Have you seen the dirty waters of cities entering into the rivers? Where do the industrial effluents and waste get disposed of? Most of the cremation grounds are on the banks of rivers, and the dead bodies are sometimes thrown in the rivers. On the occasion of some festival, the flowers and statues are immersed in the rivers. Large scale bathing and washing of clothes also pollute river waters. How can the rivers be made pollution free? Have you read about Ganga Action Plan or about a campaign for Clean the Yamuna at Delhi? Collect materials and scheme for making river pollution free and organize the materials in a write up. तो ये था आज का चैप्टर, ये है इसका एक्सरसाइज, आप ये सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। और डेली लाइव क्लास के अपडेट्स पाने के लिए चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए और बेल आइकन को क्लिक करना ना भूलें। थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।